It all started with a dream. This was the dream of Ferdinand Magellan, an explorer from Portugal. He wanted to find a new route to the Spice Islands. This was a place full of expensive spices. Spices back then were as valuable as gold in Europe. That's why Magellan traveled under the flag of Spain. Aboard 5 ships, they crossed the vast and unknown ocean. This was a journey full of danger. They faced many challenges. Hunger, sickness, and rebellion were just some of them. After more than a year of sailing in March 1521, they reached an archipelago. This is the archipelago we now know as the Philippines. His ships first landed on the island of Homonhon. Here, Magellan befriended the local leaders. He showed them the power of Spain. He brought gifts and introduced Christianity. Many leaders were impressed by him. They agreed to become allies of Spain. One of them was Raja Humabon of Cebu. He and his people were baptized as Christians. For Magellan, arriving at these islands was a great triumph. He thought he had found the way to the riches of the East. He believed that the people here would easily submit to the King of Spain. His mission was not just for spices, it was also to expand Spain's power and spread Christianity. But he didn't expect that on a small island there was a leader who wouldn't easily obey, a leader who was ready to fight for his freedom. For Raja Humabon, allying with Magellan was a good opportunity. He saw the chance to strengthen his power against his rivals. He introduced Magellan to other datus on nearby islands. He encouraged them to also recognize the power of Spain. Most followed, perhaps out of fear, or because of the promise of protection from the powerful foreigners. Magellan's ships and cannons were something they had never seen before. It seemed that everything was going according to Magellan's plan. But not everyone was ready to bow down to the foreigners. On the small island of Mactan, just across from Cebu, there was a leader with a different stance. His name was Lapu-Lapu. He was a brave Datu known for his strength and conviction. For Lapu-Lapu, his land and his people were sacred. He could not accept that a foreigner who had just arrived would tell him what to do. Why would he pay taxes to the King of Spain whom he didn't even know? Why would he abandon his beliefs for a new religion? When Magellan's order came through Raja Humabon that Lapu-Lapu should recognize the power of Spain, he firmly refused. He showed that he was not afraid of the foreigners, even if they had cannons and iron weapons. For Lapu-Lapu, accepting Magellan's offer was equivalent to surrendering their freedom. This was something he would never do. His refusal was not just a simple no, it was a declaration of defiance, a message that the people of Mactan would not surrender. Lapu-Lapu's decision angered Magellan. For the European explorer, this was a personal insult. How could a small leader of a small island dare to defy him? He who had managed to cross the largest ocean in the world. Magellan wanted to teach a lesson that all the leaders in the archipelago would not forget. He wanted to show the might of Spain. That's why he decided to personally lead a force to conquer Lapu-Lapu and his warriors. Lapu-Lapu's resistance was not just because of his love for freedom. It was also due to a long-standing feud between him and Raja Humabon. It's possible that Humabon used his new alliance with Magellan to defeat his rival in Mactan. Lapu-Lapu knew that surrendering to Magellan was also surrendering to Humabon, so he chose to fight. He prepared his warriors, he studied his territory, he knew every rock and every part of Mactan's shore. He would use this knowledge against the foreign invaders. Dawn broke on April 27, 1521. Full of confidence, Magellan led his soldiers to Mactan. With him were almost 60 Europeans armed with swords, armor, and guns. Raja Humabon's warriors also accompanied them, but Magellan advised them to stay in their boats and just watch. Magellan wanted to show how easily Europeans could defeat the natives. But he miscalculated. His confidence would be the beginning of his end. Because of the shallow water and the many corals, Magellan's ships could not get close to the shore. They had to walk in thigh-deep water. This made their movement slow. Their guns got wet and became difficult to use. As they approached, Lapu-Lapu and his approximately 1,500 warriors were already waiting on the shore. They were armed with bamboo spears, campolons, and poisoned arrows. They were ready to defend their home until their last breath. The battle began. The Spaniards tried to scare Lapu-Lapu's warriors with their guns, but the natives were not intimidated. Instead, Lapu-Lapu divided his force and surrounded Magellan's small group. The battle became close quarters and brutal. It was like a sea of warriors surging towards the Spaniards. Their armor was not enough protection against the many spears and arrows raining down on them. Lapu-Lapu's warriors saw that the Spaniards' legs were unprotected. This is where their attacks focused. Magellan was hit by a poisoned arrow in his leg. Even wounded, he continued to fight bravely, but he gradually weakened. His men saw that their leader was in danger. They tried to retreat, but it was too late. Magellan was surrounded by warriors. A bamboo spear hit him in the face, and finally a large campolin struck him down. There on the shores of Mactan, Ferdinand Magellan died. Magellan's death was a great setback for his expedition. The remaining Spaniards quickly fled back to their ships, carrying the news of their defeat. Lapu-Lapu's victory showed that Filipinos were not people who would simply surrender. It was proof that they were ready to fight for their freedom against any colonizer. The Battle of Mactan became the first recorded successful resistance of natives against European colonialists in the Philippines. It was a moment of pure bravery. After the battle, the remaining ships of Magellan's expedition continued their journey. Although they failed to conquer Mactan, one of their ships, the Victoria, managed to return to Spain. This became the first ship to circumnavigate the entire world. But the story of their journey is incomplete without the story of their defeat in Mactan. It showed the world that the islands they discovered were home to brave people with their own dignity and conviction. Today, on August 3, 2025, the Battle of Mactan is an important part of our history. Lapu-Lapu is recognized as the first hero of the Philippines. He is a symbol of bravery and resistance against oppression. His victory is a reminder that freedom is not given, it is fought for. His statue stands tall in Mactan, looking out at the sea, as if always ready to protect his domain. It is a reminder for every Filipino about the importance of loving one's country. The story of the Battle of Mactan is more than just the death of a foreign explorer. It is the story of the birth of the Filipino spirit. It proved that even before the arrival of foreigners, we already had our own leaders, our own culture, and our own identity. The victory in Mactan was not just Lapu-Lapu's victory, it was the victory of every Filipino, a legacy of bravery that continues to inspire us to this day. And that's a story we should never forget.